What did I call?
This is the women's shelter. How may I help you?
Yes, I'm trying to flee a domestic abuse crisis.
I'm sorry, you're trying to what?
Flee an abusive situation.
Okay, let's see. We're at full capacity right now. What city do you live in?
Places have been saying that years blacklisting me. For 10 years, every place has been full and violating my rights. I'm trying to prove it to the FBI so they can do something about it. I've been forced out in the streets and abuse and endured a lot of suffering and emotional distress. I'm not a person that is typically homeless, and the government's enforcing that I'm homeless for profit. And I get terrorized. So everywhere I've called for this time frame has pathologically lied and said they were full and aided and abetted my abuse and discriminated against me all over the country. And then when I was in person, it was horrible. They oppressed me and then lied about being a domestic abuse shelter. They said they didn't have housing. They pathologically lied, numerous staff members. And then the only thing that they wanted to give me to flee abuse was mental health treatment, and then they denied that. And they're not the only one that has treated me that way. So everyone's at full capacity. When do places stop putting women in safe environments and deprive them of housing? You are aware that that's the top reason a woman stays in abuse, being denied a support system and housing. And if an abuser can manipulate that, he can keep his be a predator and keep that party in abuse.
Yes. And I'm sorry that you're having to go through this and through that.
Does that mean that you deny all the other resources and to place me in a safe environment? Because everyone else has done it all these years.
What city?
I'm in Los Angeles. And I'm not quite sure why no one's having responsibility for pathologically lying to me about what this organization does and premeditating my entrance and being blackballed and blacklisted from help to flee abuse, domestic violence, everywhere I'm at. I'm on the streets. The shelter I was staying at scamming to put me out from my abuser. He's controlling all the help I could possibly get using law enforcement. I'm being followed by this man. I'm being stalked right now. These city workers stalked me. Let me let the city worker pass. They create noise pollution and do other bizarre things. Okay, so what do I do, ma'am, that I'm blacklisted from all help by the police department? It's not safe for me to repeatedly be out on the streets enduring this abuse.
What was the name of the shelter you were at?
The shelter I was at that scammed to put me out is Union Rescue Mission, and I was being oppressed and mistreated there, and they denied case management. I told them I wanted to do a grievance because they know I was fleeing abuse and denied me all assistance. Every shelter I've ever lived at conspired with my abuse and denied me case management, enforcing homelessness, and for me to be stagnant.
Okay, so yeah, I can give you shelter resources.
But I'm not really being heard. I don't have rights. So the resources year after year, my abuser's hacking my phone and keeping me from fleeing them using the police department. Hold on. I called 10 years and everyone's full. They lie to me, ma'am. And they do it in person.
A lot of shelters are domestic violence or shelters.
Yeah, why did locations stop placing women in safe environments? When did that happen? When did they demand that she escapes abuse on her own without a support system and be oppressed? At what point did the cell phone providers demand that you activate your phone by yourself and you're there in person? When did case management start demanding you do your case management on your own? That legal representation demands that you do the legal representation on your own.
Okay, Mom. You're asking me questions and you're not letting me answer.
I would think that there's a disconnect in me needing assistance and help and placement and my rights being violated and me
So,
being kept from it.
Homeless shelters.
But I'm fleeing abuse and everybody's aiding and abetting the domestic abuse crisis. I need to be in a domestic abuse shelter.
Okay. You would have to be calling every day. Like I said, a lot of the shelters.
I'm really not being heard. When did the organization stop placing women in safe environments or placing that party in a safe environment? Because it's not working with me having to do it on my own. I don't have rights to do it on my own. What I'm seeking is someone that will place me and not violate my rights. I just called. What did I call? I thought it was a federal crime, hacking, especially when I'm being defrauded out of funds. What did I call?
So,
are you refusing to tell me what I called?
No, ma'am. I'm letting you speak.
What did I call, ma'am? You're not making sense. I asked you what I called. Because people oppress me and punish me for trying to flee abuse, and the only way that could happen is if my abuser's controlling it. Why would people punish me for trying to flee abuse? Ma'am.
Ma'am, have you tried placing a restraining order?
I think that my abuser is the reason why people are punishing me for fleeing abuse, because he's controlling them.
Have you tried placing
using law
a
enforcement
restraining order, or what resources have
they cover for him, ma'am? But we're deflecting on the fact, what did I call?
I've told you several times, ma'am, you called the shelter, and we are at full capacity.
What shelter is it, ma'am? I called the shelter? This is a shelter line?
Yes.
Okay, I thought it was a crisis line.
You were diverted to the crisis shelter?
Okay, because this has happened years. Everywhere I'm at, they have a combat for a pathological lie. Just now, they closed when I got there, one location. Then the second location said that they closed because it was short-staffed. And then I got diverted. It seems like people are pathologically lying to keep me from my rights. And doing that in a conspiracy is a federal crime. It's a felony.
Okay, ma'am. So you were telling me that you left the Union Rescue Mission, right?
My abuser puts me out of shelters and blackballs me from getting help to flee his abuse using the police department. And your organization pathologically lied about being a domestic violence organization. They told me they weren't one, and they weren't a shelter, and they didn't have housing in person, and then oppressed me, and they had other parties do the same thing.
Okay. I'm sorry that that's happened to you. What I can do is, like I mentioned,
why would the crisis line not want to talk to me? Because numerous crisis lines don't want to talk to me. Why doesn't anyone want me fleeing abuse that I come in contact with, including my own family?
I'm not sure what other organizations told you, ma'am,
but why doesn't the crisis line want to talk to me? Because no crisis line wants to speak with me.
I'm not sure why other crisis lines.
I'm on a crisis line right now, ma'am. I called a crisis line, and the National Domestic Violence Hotline wouldn't talk to me either.
You're yelling at me, and
I get gaslit, ma'am. They just did it. They do it. They're going to do it all day today. They use that as a strategy to deny me assistance and blame me for it.
Disconnect the call.
You're disconnecting the call because you don't want me to talk on the crisis line to flee abuse, and all the locations are going to lash out today doing the same thing. And what is it? Just 5-something in the morning, and how many places have violated my rights? In fact, all these years. You were deflecting on the fact that this is a crisis line, and you're keeping me from crisis assistance in your scam.
I'm not keeping you from anything, ma'am.
Okay, well, this is a crisis line. What have you done for me in the crisis line outside of start an argument? And everybody's going to do it today, ma'am. My children are doing it and lying to create arguments. And they've been in tears doing it.
Absolutely not. If you're calling for help, But one thing is calling for help, and another thing is yelling. You have been yelling at me.
Everybody is using that as a strategy to deny
give you
assistance. It's abusive to gaslight me and punish me for crimes that people are committing repeatedly over and over.
I am not
The shelter
gaslighting
just
you, ma'am.
lied and said that I was creating a disturbance by wanting services.
numbers would you
Everywhere
like,
I'm at, I'm creating a disturbance and I'm being rude for wanting services.
Okay, I'm going to disconnect the call.
Everyone's going to do it today, ma'am. I wish the feds do something about it. I thought stalking was illegal, especially if it's community stalking.
Para español, oprime el número 1. For English, press 2.
Thank you
It
for
didn't
calling
pause.
East Los Angeles Women's Center.
Yes, this is a crisis line. Yes, I'm trying to flee a domestic violence crisis.
Okay. Can you give me a little bit more info?
I just called. Did she document anything? Because this has happened years. It's emotional abuse. My abuser loves me to repeat myself over and over to be toxic, and he scams to have me do it in multiple different environments. For example, the police department, I did a report with the police, and then they scammed to have me talk to another police to repeat myself. I go in person, and then they scam that I have to talk to every crisis line and tell them about my abuse 15 times.
What's your name?
And then 15 times I get denied assistance. My name's Kiana Clark.
What is your name, ma'am?
Kiana, Keyana. It's emotional abuse, ma'am. Clark, Clark. And then they oppress me and taunt me for trying to flee abuse, like what just happened on the phone, and numerous other times today. And it's just 5:35 in the morning, and what happened last night and yesterday. In fact, years. I got put out of there, yes, and my abuser had me put out of the rescue mission on pathological lies. He's done it years. He lashes out. He controls every place I've ever lived. And they oppress me and harass me at every shelter I've ever lived at, been forced to live at, since I've been forced into homelessness.
Okay, so the Union Rescue Mission is a homeless shelter. Are you looking for homeless shelter resources?
You haven't heard anything that I said about abuser? I called a crisis line for domestic violence. Because everyone's doing it, ma'am, for all this time. No one wants me fleeing abuse that I come in contact with, including my own family.
Okay, so a new list for the shelter.
You thought that why did you think I called a domestic abuse crisis line? What would you perceive that was for?
As I was saying, you said that...
Because I've done it, all my calls are like this, ma'am. They're aiding and abetting abuse and emotional abuse and keeping me in the problem and starting arguments and lashing out for my abuser.
I'm not, but what I could do is, let's talk a little bit about a restraining order. I know that you said that you've been,
I don't have shelter, ma'am. I can't tell you my needs. You have to tell me my needs because it's going to happen. It's been happening years. I get oppressed. I experience emotional abuse and control, coercive control.
Okay.
I call the crisis line, ma'am, for domestic violence.
Yes.
So what made you believe that I was not trying to get help with domestic violence? If I called the domestic violence crisis line.
No one's making me believe anything. I'm trying to give you resources, and I'm trying to help you. You said that you've been going through this abuse, so...
Yeah, but yeah, if you heard me say that I was going through abuse, why would you recommend homeless shelters? And be condescending.
You said you came from Union Rescue Mission, ma'am.
Right, and my abuser, but I'm fleeing abuse. My abuser put me out.
Before that, where were you at?
I would like to start fleeing abuse, ma'am. Because for 10 years, I've experienced the same pattern. Is there going to be a point in time to where I can get direction on how to flee abuse? Because everyone has sabotaged my ability to flee, including law enforcement and family members.
So what is it when they're asking you at the domestic violence shelters?
I'm on the crisis line for direction. I'm on the crisis line for direction. Everybody's denying me feedback.
I'm trying to give you direction.
Okay.
And we went over this the first time.
I don't want to be oppressed, ma'am. I don't want my abuser to lashing out through my environments. It's psychological abuse, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am, I'm going to have to disconnect the call if this continues because I'm trying to help you and we're going in circles.
Can I say something, ma'am?
I'm just trying to ask you questions.
Can I say something, ma'am?
Regarding...
Am I able to speak on the crisis line?
Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. What my abuser does, takes my desperation and tries to dominate, and try to make me, subject me to like be submissive. It's like bondage, like emotional bondage. So what happens when he knows I'm in a corner, he has his minions, like they should have me in bondage and try to enforce submissive behavior. Well, it's like psychotic behavior. So I'm calling crisis lines, and what the crisis lines are actually trying to do is like taunt me and try like force submissive behavior on me and force emotional abuse. And like, if you don't take this abuse, I'm not going to help you. And they never do anyway. It's a mind game. So for all these years, they oppress me and gaslight me and say, look, you blame me for their abuse. And they do it in person too, ma'am. This is what abusers do to their victims emotionally. But it's really amazing when you can enlist the world to help you with your abuse. I'm not sure what to do with this because I don't deserve it. And I wish that it end. I don't need to be tortured, oppressed emotionally everywhere I'm at for trying to get help. And have to experience narcissistic abuse and emotional, psychological abuse every step I take. I don't deserve it. No person deserves it for trying to flee abuse.
Absolutely. No one does. Right.
Well, this is the crisis line. And you recommended homeless shelters and then blame me for it. I called a domestic violence organization. And it is 5-something in the morning and numerous people I didn't call a domestic violence organization. Crisis line.
No, I was repeating what you said you came from. I'm trying to get your situation and help you. And I was asking you, before the Union Rescue Mission, where were you staying? If you don't mind me asking.
I do mind. So that's what I was trying to communicate. That's what I was trying to communicate. I'd like to get to flee and abuse.
If you don't give me that information, then...
I was in jail on bogus charges, man.
You were saying that...
People, they enforce emotional abuse and waste my time.
So before the Union, have you ever stayed in a domestic violence shelter? Ever?
No, I've been blackballed and got abused for trying to flee abuse and arrested numerous times.
So you have never stayed in a domestic violence shelter?
I one a couple times, but it was controlled and abusive, like you are. They taunt me and abused me emotionally, and they just let me stay in there just a little bit to scam that I got help.
And I'm not abusive. So
if you're demanding to know where I stayed and I'm in a situation right now, homeless, and you're demanding past years.
I'm just trying to get a little bit of your history. I'm not demanding to know.
You said that if you couldn't help me if I didn't tell you.
And I don't have to stay on the line if you're going to be calling me names and telling me that I'm abusive.
That you're not going to help me anyway. Man, no one has helped me in 10 years. All they do is oppress me emotionally and waste my time. I'm trying to prove it to someone that'll do something about it. And do something to interrupt these crimes being committed with my phone. To keep me from fleeing the domestic violence that the government's enlisted in. It's defrauding me out of funds, these crimes. It's happened. If it haven't happened in 10 years, it's not going to happen until someone interrupts it. Every call I make, he is going to be lashing out with every single call like he's been doing years. And letting his minions lash out for him emotionally.
So you said, and you mentioned this person was in law enforcement. So have you tried reporting to the station?
We can't concentrate on me fleeing abuse and getting housing and getting an advocate on the crisis
that's
line.
What I'm trying to ask you.
The police department won't help. I'm trying to get help from organizations, and all they do is play mind games and scam to violate my rights.
Well, it seems like every resource that I've given
the problem is that you haven't given me services like the shelter. The problem of it is you are not giving me your services like the shelter. People divert the conversations to have me go somewhere else.
Full capacity.
Right, but you have all places for all these years has been in full capacity to deny me shelter. I'm trying to prove it, but what I'm trying to
Well,
communicate.
I can't control other shelters, but I do
But
know
you
this
can
shelter.
control not with your inability to place me in a safe environment and starting arguments with me for trying to flee abuse, because it's going to happen all day and it's been
I'm
happening
not
years.
starting arguments with you. I'm not starting arguments with you, ma'am.
The fact still remains that this is a domestic violence organization, and I have yet to sit down and speak with someone that legitimately had an interest in helping me and placing me in a safe environment like what policy requires, and getting me transportation and getting me safe. They let crooked police blackball me and keep me from getting help to flee abuse they're enlisted in.
Would you like me to give you housing resources? Like I mentioned, the shelters are at full capacity. A new list comes out daily. However, each shelter does have requirements also. As I'm sure, you said that you've been trained to get into shelters, and I'm sure you know that, they ask questions. There's an intake that has to be done. I'm not sure why you haven't gotten into a shelter.
Are you,
however,
this happens, you don't think that's emotional abuse if I told you why? And you can't hear me because it's going to happen all day today. In fact, all these years. That's not emotional abuse to you? To tell people years of telling people I need help and for them to be condescending and emotionally abusive and punish you for needing help that other women can get that are not me? You don't think that's abuse? And then to start blaming you for their abuse? Blaming me for their abuse? You don't think that's
Ma'am,
abuse?
I don't, unfortunately, I can't control other shelters, or I wasn't there as to why you were not getting the services, ma'am.
So FBI, what else do you need to know that the abuser is controlling these calls and I am actually speaking with his con artists that are actually, their goal is to keep me from fleeing his abuse? What else are you going to need, FBI? Do you need confessions? This is a confession. Look at all these calls, all these years. All these environments that want to conspire with emotional abuse and oppress and put me out when he's upset. It hasn't happened all this time, and it's not going to happen without assistance. This car is speeding up. I can call and call and call and call to Kingdom Come, and it's the same thing. Backed up, whatever was happening. Well, ma'am, if you're denying the crisis line assistance and then blaming me for it, like every other place I call for all these years has done, I can't do anything until the FBI interrupts, ma'am. And it has defrauded me out of funds, so it's a federal crime to do this hacking. And violating my rights in a conspiracy like this is a federal crime, too. For all these parties, accomplices to violating my rights. I can't make people give me services. I've tried and they won't. Including the shelter that put me out from my abuser on pathological lies to place me in danger.
Is it an option to get numbers for other shelters?
No, because every place for all these years is going to do the same thing that you're doing. That's what the shelter did. That's how they're violating my rights in the scam. They're having every location that I come in contact with deny me assistance and tell me to go somewhere else in the scam. And then every people are supposed to be stupid and not know that my rights are being violated. And each place I'm going to get assistance, they're denying it. And then in their alibi, they're telling me to go somewhere else so they don't get the charges. But everyone is being enlisted to do the same thing. Violate my rights to giving me services they offer and tell me to go somewhere else. It's a catch-22, and you never get the services.
Okay, ma'am, so what is it that you would like to do?
So what are you recommending on the crisis line if every place that I go to in all these years have denied me assistance? And as a strategy to not be held accountable for their actions, told me to go other locations to violate my rights and not get caught. Forcing a person like me into homelessness and abuse.
For everyone else?
Well, can you answer
can't
for what
answer
you're
for everyone
doing?
else, but
Can
what I
you
can
answer
do.
for what you're doing, your organization? How they pathologically lied in person and oppressed me and enlisted other parties to do the same thing. They lied and said they didn't have a shelter, and then they lied and said they weren't a domestic violence organization, and they lied and said they didn't have apartments, and lied about case management in person. Hold on, ma'am. It's just gonna take for someone to do something about these calls that have defrauded me out of funds. It's not going to stop when the abuser's controlling it.
Children. Is it an option for you to go to another shelter? Let's see. What about Pasadena?
I think there's a disconnect. The disconnect is I don't want my rights violated, and I'd like a support system, and I'd like assistance in places to stop violating my rights and keeping me from assistance. I would like to experience what other women experience, to have love, compassion, and sit down with a support system, and to be placed in a safe environment and not have me do everything by myself as a strategy to deny me assistance and not get caught for doing so.
So, question: when you've called domestic violence shelters, what is it that they tell you? Because I know that there's an intake, so I'm assuming that.
Ma'am, I'm on the line with one right now. I'm on the line with one right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here we're at capacity, so I know that I'm telling you that we're at capacity.
But the point still remains is you place women in safe environments.
Into a shelter.
You place women in safe environments.
I'm also wondering. Negative, but I'm also wondering. Can you share a little bit about as to why you haven't gotten into, or what do they tell you as to why you haven't gotten into other shelters?
The same thing you're saying in your scam. Every place does it for all this time that I've been forced into homelessness.
Ma'am?
They just waste my time.
And I have to keep the line open as well.
And they conspire with emotional abuse and lash out for my abuser. And they're condescending and have the same personality type this man has. And makes me pay for everything and wants me to grovel and beg for services that he knows I'll never get. He wants me to be submissive. And he strategizes these calls to dominate and control for emotional abuse. And then after they say,
these calls?
For example, like when you said that I'm not going to be able to help you if you don't tell me about where you stayed at prior to where you stayed at this Union Rescue Mission, and I said I didn't want to talk about it, and I would like to get to fleeing abuse.
That's not what you
and
said.
You said
no.
And you said that
I didn't say I wasn't going to help you.
You said that if I did not go into that,
I asked you where were you staying, please.
Right,
no,
and I didn't want to
not
discuss it. Okay, ma'am. You asked me a question, and I'm trying to answer it. So what they do is they take control of the call.
With things that I did not say. I did not say that.
They take control of the call to pathologically lie and strategize to argue, like what happened online. People are staging conflict to argue in numerous environments, and they will lie to argue and oppress.
In circles, and I'm trying to give you phone numbers, but I do have to keep the line open. And
you asked a question, and this is going to happen all day. In fact, all these years, each time that I'm giving people evidence, they distract and deflect and go to another topic to not be held accountable for their actions and to blame me for it. You said earlier, I said I did not want to discuss the topic of where I stayed before the shelter I got put out of and corruption. You said, well, I'm not going to be able to help you if you don't talk about it. Then I told you, and then you still won't help me, and you weren't going to help me to begin with. It's just wasting my time, call after call, year after year.
It's unfortunate that you feel. It's unfortunate that that's how.
Did I get placed in a safe environment all these years, ma'am? Did they lie to me in person and oppress me for trying to flee abuse? Did the police department come there and they lied about why the poliliche came in person? And why did the police come to numerous other domestic violence organizations?
I'm trying to help you now.
I'm concerned because it's a crisis line for women fleeing abuse, and you can't help.
Okay. Like I said, I keep asking you, what can we do? Because we're going in circles.
That's what the police department says, and numerous other parties as a strategy to violate my rights, blame me for it, and say that we're going in circles and gaslight me and blame me for their abuse. It's going to happen all day. It's happened years. They strategize to get real close. Let me get the license plate number. Because you just don't come at somebody. You wait if someone's standing in the road.